Hey everyone, I'm Frank from Community Gamer, better known as Scrappy, and I'm here to do the first ever video installment of my CG segment Scrappy's Corner. So for this, I guess you can call it an episode, I'm going to be doing a little comparison between two Perfect Dark games, Perfect Dark Arcade and Perfect Dark Zero. Perfect Dark Arcade being the remastered version of the N64 classic Perfect Dark, and Perfect Dark Zero being the Xbox 360 release prequel to that same game. For a brief history on each of the games, Perfect Dark was ported to the 360 by 4J Studios from the original Perfect Dark N64 game developed by Rare, a company made famous for developing the now legendary GoldenEye 007 game. Released in May of 2000, Perfect Dark was a great game in and of its own right, and obviously deserved a remake, which was released last year. 5 years before that marks the release date for Perfect Dark Zero, Perfect Dark's prequel, also developed by Rare. However, Zero was marked less of a critical success than both the original and its remake, but we'll get into that a little later. For now, I think it's best to touch upon the similarities the two games share, because touch upon is all I really need to do. Besides the protagonist Joanna Dark and the evil corporation Datadyne, the two games share practically nothing in common story-wise. All Zero does in regards to being a prequel is show how Joanna comes to work for the good guys agency known as the Carrington Institute. I guess one could also assume that we could see Joanna's demeanor evolve in the two games. In Zero, she seems rash and unexperienced compared to Arcade, which takes place 3 years later, when Joanna shows a more learned wisdom. We also see a brief glimpse at two nerds talking in Zero about aliens, which shows a hint at the original story, but like most of the stuff in the game, it was pretty pointless. The games do share some Xbox Live features such as multiplayer and leaderboards, but other than that, the two experiences are as different as night and day. In my opinion, Perfect Dark Arcade is, for the lack of a better term, perfect way to experience an old classic. It featured touch-upon graphics, but still with the original feel of the gameplay. Playing the game transported me back to the time when games still came in cartridges and people actually needed skill to aim a weapon. The graphics still kept the same old-school look to them, but were tighter and brighter, reflecting the growth in technology. If it were up to me, this is how I would want to experience a Halo CE remake, and not whatever they're doing with Halo Anniversary, but that's another story. Perfect Dark Zero, on the other hand, is important for another reason. It was the first ever Xbox 360 release title, but that's pretty much all it was important for. Seeing it selling for $5 used at Best Buy, I figured why not give it a play for nostalgia's sake, and now I see why it was kept underneath the shelves. Maybe at the time of 360's launch, the graphics were a foreshadowing of things to come from the console, but now its cartoony look is not only out of date, but not too appealing either. The game does try to take some basic gameplay elements from its predecessor and build on them, such as the use of gadgets and actually allowing for some elements of stealth. Also, a downside to Arcade was the sometimes confusing and difficult objectives. Zero tries to fix that with an idiot marker arrow which shows you where to go. While Arcade mainly limits its boss battle to the Alien King at the end, Zero offers several opportunities to fight mini-bosses and includes an enjoyable final level devoted entirely to the main boss of the game, one of the campaign's most memorable moments. But in the end, Zero loses something in its attempt to bring the Perfect Dark series into the next generation. There's a certain futuristic Indiana Jones and James Bond-like quality about the two games. A secret agent who starts off in a grounded reality ends up surrounded by mystical realms and alien worlds. But the two experiences are not the same. It's not always easy to put a finger on it and understand exactly why, but sometimes there's just an overall fun factor to a game that is beyond words. And whatever it is, Arcade has it and Zero doesn't. Somewhere between the story, atmosphere, and gameplay lies an enjoyable time in Arcade that Zero lacks. I will say this though, while Joanna certainly was a looker in her older years, checking out the 360 younger Joanna is probably the only thing worth replaying the game for. This is Scrappy from CommunityGamer.com signing off. See you guys next time.